Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience in Jaipur in a hospital the time I almost died. Okay, it sounds a bit clickbaity, but actually it's kind of well, it is true. But you know the way people say these things for videos like, oh, the time I almost died, and it's like, you know, whatever. But I actually did almost die. So basically, I went to India first on my first ever trip there in 2022. It was March and April 2022. I was first there. We had driven from Agra to Jaipur, and yeah, like, I mean, this was March or April, so it was very hot there. Anyway, I'll get to that part later. But so basically we arrived in Jaipur and it was like nighttime. It was, I guess, you know, 9 or 10 p.m. and we had no accommodation, so we just went to go and get some food first before we found accommodation, and we just stopped at this kind of roadside like dhaba or like street food place, and we're just eating food there. I had left my bottle of water in the car by mistake, and yeah, I just wasn't thinking, and like one of the guys in the restaurant put down a jug of tap water and 2 glasses on the table, and I just started drinking it, like the tap water. I just wasn't thinking in that moment at all like, oh, this is tap water. It was just like completely a mindless thing I did where I was just like thirsty, so I drank the water, you know? Literally just straight after I drank it, I said, oh shit, that was tap water. Yeah, it was just kind of like just this stupid thing that I did without thinking. It was stupid, but yeah, it happened. I mean, this was one of the key causes of what happened later, but yeah, there's more to it. Anyway, the next day we went to the Amber Fort in Jaipur, and yeah, we had just like started touring the fort and everything, and I just started to feel really weak, really hot. Obviously it was hot there anyway in Rajasthan, naturally, but at this point I wasn't like sick. I was just weak and like no energy. I felt like I just wanted to like lie down and like put my head down, that type of feeling. A short while later I started getting like cramps, like stomach cramps, and just this like gurgling feeling, and I was like, okay, like something is going on here. And then it just kind of started to like rapidly decline, where I just was really like, I can't even walk around anymore, I need to just lie down. So we got an auto back to a hotel. On the trip down to Jaipur from Agra the night before, we had mini car accident where an auto like bashed into the side of the car and broke off the wing mirror. Utsav went to fix that while I rested in the hotel, and while he was gone I just like got worse. Like I started vomiting, I started, you know, needing to go to the toilet, and it just kind of was like rapidly declining my condition. And I was like, okay, this must be food poisoning from the water, like from drinking that water last night. But you know, like, you don't need to go to the doctor or hospital for food poisoning. It's just literally a case of riding it out. Like, there's not really much you can do for it. So I was just doing that stuff. But really quickly it just started to get 10 times worse. It got to a point where I was feeling so weak, like unbelievably weak, like just to even walk to the bathroom then was becoming difficult. By this time Utsaf had gotten back and I was just like barely able to move, honestly. Like it gotten that bad. I said, okay, I think I need to go to the doctor or the hospital. Thank God for the guys at the reception in that hotel. I don't remember the name of the hotel actually, unfortunately. It could have been in Oyo, to be honest. I don't really remember, but they were amazing. Like, they drove me to the hospital and everything. Yeah, like it was really bad. I couldn't even walk from like my hotel room down to the reception. Like, that's how weak I was. And I just couldn't even like keep my eyes open. It was just like I kept kind of almost like blacking out, and I just couldn't walk. I actually couldn't walk at all, or use my legs. It was yeah, really scary and just like crazy. And even in the car on the way to the hospital, I remember just being like, I don't even know if I was gonna make it. Like, that's how I felt. And I know it sounds like, oh, well, but I actually did genuinely think that like maybe I won't make it. Like, I was, yeah, I wasn't able to move. Like, it was like my body was dead but my mind was there a bit. Yeah, so I got into a hospital and they just started doing all these, I guess, tests and stuff, and That time is a bit of a blur, like I don't really remember exactly what they did. I just remember spending a lot of time going from this place and then going to this place in the hospital and then this place and them doing these different checks. And I was just like shaking like uncontrollably at this stage, like just like I don't know why that was. Like I was spending so much time just like waiting, almost waiting around in the bed, and because I still wasn't in the actual hospital ward yet, like I was still going, like at one stage I was in the hallway and waiting. I was kind of like almost like panicked at that stage then, because I was like, I'm not okay, like I'm not able to open my eyes, like are they going to give me something, like let's go. But I had to just obviously trust like these people know what they're doing, and the hospital was really busy, so eventually I did get a bed in the ward, and this was a government hospital, by the way, in Jaipur. I don't know which hospital it was, but so yeah, then I finally got a bed in the hospital ward, and keeping in mind it's a government hospital, so it was so busy. Like in this one room, it was a large room, but like there was hundreds of people, I would say. Like it was crazy. Obviously we don't have anything like that here in Ireland or in the West, so it was a bit like, it was a bit of a shock. And that's the thing, is like I haven't been shocked by many things in India, because a lot of people say they have get like a culture shock, or you know, are shocked by seeing this or that, but like this was the only time I was kind of like a bit shocked, just like the setup in the hospital. So yeah, I at least got a bed in this ward, and they put me on a drip and they gave me morphine. I don't know what the fuck they gave me, but so I was in the hospital for like almost a full day, and over the course of those hours, like it was like really tough, because I wasn't feeling okay at all, even though they had me on a drip and were giving me, I guess, like pain relief or something, I don't know. They also didn't give me anything to vomit into or anything, like a bucket or something, so I was literally just like vomiting on the bed, on the floor. Keeping in mind like the beds are like not far apart at all from the other patients, so like I was like, I'm so sorry. And then most of the time when I was in the hospital, I was alone, because they had Utsav go and like get the medication, so he had to queue and wait for that, and then they had to check my documents, and then he had to go to an outside pharmacy to actually get the medicine. So that took hours, that whole process. So I was just alone in this room full of some very sick people for like almost a day, and it was just kind of like crazy and wild. Like when I just reflect on it, I'm like, yeah, it was just crazy. And I remember feeling terrified as well to tell my family or friends like that this had happened, because I remember just thinking like, oh, they're going to like tell me that I can't come back to India, or I actually only ended up telling them, I think, when I got back to Ireland, so like over a week later. I only actually told anyone about it. But yeah, so at one stage as well, like the drip came out of my hand and like it started like squirting blood, and I was like shouting for like a doctor or nurse or someone. And like keeping in mind there's hundreds of people, there's only maybe like 2-3 staff members or like nurses, really overcrowded. This hospital was, naturally, because it's a government hospital, and I felt really bad for the doctors and nurses, because they were obviously spread so thin. But at the same time it was scary for me, because I was like, am I okay? Is everything going? Like there was no one kind of checking on me or anything, and it was just like I was just in a lot of pain in general and just discomfort, and I couldn't like sit still, I couldn't like just sleep, like it was just really uncomfortable time. And the people beside me must have been like, this foreigner bitch, what the fuck's wrong with her, like she's grand, you know, type thing. But I mean, obviously, like, you know, once I was on the drip and everything, I knew I would be okay, obviously, because they were rehydrating me. And yeah, I think it was because I was alone as well. Like if Utsav had been there for a lot of that, like I would have probably been more okay, but he obviously had to go and do all of that other stuff to get the medicines and get it to me. And that was something that was unusual. Again, just different about like in a hospital setting, you wouldn't expect that someone else would have to go and do that. Like what if you had just arrived to the hospital and it's just yourself and there's no one else to do that stuff for you? I don't know. And then he finally got back hours later, and I was like, thank God. And then I was like, I was so thirsty, even though I had water. I was like it wasn't quenching the thirst because like I'm dehydrated. I needed something more. I needed, you know, like, I don't know, like juice or something. So I asked him to go and get orange juice for me. And yeah, I started drinking it and I was delighted. I was like, oh yes, like this is like, I need to do this. As soon as I finished the carton of orange juice, vomited all over the bed. There was no one around, no nurse around, no doctor around. So let's have got the blanket that was on the bed and wiped up the whole sick. Yeah, keeping in mind, I know he's my boyfriend now, but at this time, like, he was just my friend and he saw some horrific things that day. Anyway, so that happened, and yeah, there's just no one around to like help you with anything, or like, yeah, like vomiting on, like I'm vomiting on my own hospital bed, but there's no one around to help or change anything or give me a bucket or anything, you know. And that's not a dig at, you know, the staff, because there obviously is so few of them and they have to tend to all of these people, and it's crazy, and I don't even know how they're doing that. So props to them. I would not do that job if you paid me €1,000,000, honestly. That's pretty much what happened. So I was there for like almost a full day, and then in the nighttime I had asked them to like, can I go? Because I was like mostly feeling better, even though like I still wasn't really able to walk that well. But I was just like, I just wanted to be at the hotel, like on my own. I didn't want to be in this environment anymore, and I was just, yeah, just really kind of just uncomfortable there. And I felt like now it's just a case of kind of keeping hydrated and eventually eating and stuff. So they did let me go home. Yeah, that was that. So that's definitely the closest I've ever come to death, I would say. Not that I was dying necessarily, but the hospital did say like, thank God that I got in when I did, because I was on that path for sure, because I was dehydrated, I had food poisoning, like my whole body was just like shutting down basically. So yeah, I'm just really grateful that I'm fine, and I was fine. And moral of the story is, don't fucking drink tap water in India, which obviously everyone knows, and I knew too, but it's just so easy when you are in like an autopilot mindset that you just do things without thinking. And yeah, and also stay hydrated. That's also the moral of the story, stay hydrated. So I've definitely learned my lesson. And yeah, it was definitely an experience, but definitely the craziest thing I think that has happened to me for sure in this lifetime so far, for sure. It was just a crazy experience. I think just to like look out for yourself, that's the biggest thing, is just, you know, take care of yourself and be smart. And thankfully I've never had to go to a hospital again in India. Although every time I visited India, I've gotten sick in some form. Like the next time I went to India was later on that same year, and I also was starting to get a bit of a food poisoning thing, but I went to the chemist. As soon as I felt like it was happening, I went to the chemist and got medication, so it was fine. And then when I was in India last time, after I came back from Kedarnath, I started getting quite sick again. That wasn't like food poisoning sick, but it was like, I was like really weak. They told me it was like a fever or flu or something. I don't know what it was. I've never gotten that here in Ireland or anything like that, but it was just like really weak. Like I couldn't really do anything, no appetite. Yeah. Anyway, so I feel like getting sick when I'm there is just something that's probably going to happen, but as long as you're proactive about it and don't let it just kind of go on. And also, this is a really important thing I've learned in my trips to India, is not to take any medicines from a pharmacist, from a chemist. If you are feeling sick and you need medication, go to the doctor first, because the chemists in India, I don't know, do you call them chemists or pharmacies, but they will give you this shit that like could make you worse or will create other issues. That definitely happened to me. And then when you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I got this medicine from this chemist, they're like, why did you do
चूतिया हो
that?
गया.
Because the chemists, they just want to sell you drugs, and you know, really they're not doctors as such, so they don't really probably know the correct kind of medicine or dosage for these things, whereas the doctor will tell you exactly like what you need and prescribe you stuff that is actually good. So that's another thing. Don't go to the pharmacies or chemists, go to a doctor first. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching this story time, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!